Well, that last throw, it was pretty telling to not be able to complete a screen pass. Just lay it out there. So even the easy throws are getting difficult.
And the journey him and I went on this year will always, be something that's a special place in my heart for sure.
All that matters is when you have a good season, what do you do in the playoffs? And we didn't get it done today, and that's all that matters.
Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold just lost $200 million in 2 games. Darnold was a surprise MVP candidate who many thought would be the comeback player of the year until everything started crashing down for the guy. After this win for the Green Bay Packers in December of 2024, many people thought there was no way Sam Darnold would not receive a fat contract extension from the Minnesota Vikings. They love him. They freaking love this guy. Or loved. Sam Darnold was balling out around this time, and many people wondered, is it the head coach Kevin O'Connell or is it Sam Darnold? Who is responsible for this success? Quarterback Caleb Williams of the Bears seems to think it is Kevin O'Connell, the head coach.
And met him at the draft and all these different things. And so when somebody comes over to you, that's, having guys and having Sam Darnold even out there balling, and he's been a great coach so far, I believe. And
he even has Sam Darnold balling. Oh wow, so crazy. Around this time, many people thought it was inevitable that Sam Darnold would get roughly a $200 million 4-year contract. This is similar to quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars and also quarterbacks like Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, it sounds high, but that's market value for a lower tier franchise quarterback these days. And many people thought, well, damn, after winning 14 games, it's definitely going to happen for Sam Darnold. Darnold was praised so much in December, in November, that you even had analysts saying that this guy is more clutch than Lamar Jackson.
This roster isn't great. There's no but. Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold. Look at the numbers. Who do you trust more in a playoff game? Are you sure it's Lamar? And I love Lamar.
Unfortunately for Sam Darnold, this take did not age well. It all fell apart in January, 2 weeks before the playoffs, when the Vikings faced the NFC North Division rivals, the number 1 seed Detroit Lions, and they got their ass whooped in this game. But it's a good team, a good Detroit Lions team. You could look past that. The Vikings are a 14-win team. They're obviously still going to be successful. And even Dan Campbell thought that the Vikings would be successful in the wild card round of the playoffs.
Good job, Greg. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Might see you in 2 weeks.
I'll see you in 2 weeks. Dan Campbell assumed this 14-win team would take care of business against the LA Rams. Little did he know that Dan Campbell just gave the LA Rams extra motivation. Sean McVay reportedly had this photo hung up in the locker room all week of head coach of the Detroit Lions, assuming the Vikings were going to whoop the Rams. In this wild card matchup against the Rams, it all spiraled out of control quickly for Sam Darnold and the Vikings. You could see during this turnover early on in the game, Kevin O'Connell looks completely fed up with his quarterback, man.
Slings it and he's picked.
But check out Kevin O'Connell, just pissed off. It's like he's seen this before. It's like he knew this was going to happen. You can see him grimace. Obviously, no one's going to be happy about an interception, but to be fair to Sam Darnold, he was under pressure like crazy against this young defensive line by the LA Rams, and he was sacked 9 times in this game, 6 times in the first half. That is absolutely ridiculous, and this pressure ended up leading into costly turnovers for Sam Darnold, man.
Darnold balls out. Picked up by Verse.
Damn, that guy's fast for a D lineman.
Down.
If you watch this game in the second quarter, it felt like it was already over. The Rams had extra motivation. Not only were they dealing with the fires out there in Southern California, but also NFL teams looking over them in the wild card. Star wide receiver Justin Jefferson did not look happy during this game. You could see the visible frustration on his face. You know he's thinking about the quarterback situation. You know he's thinking about the offensive line failing him. No NFL team wants to see their guy, who they gave the absolute bag to. That's why he could afford all of those chains. You don't want to see him unhappy with the football team. But what was crazy here was hearing the analyst Troy Aikman throw Sam Darnold under the bus.
Kevin O'Connell is play caller and head coach.
Well, that last throw, it was pretty telling to not be able to complete a screen pass. Just lay it out there.
That is pretty rough.
So even the easy throws are getting difficult.
Even the easy throws are getting difficult. It became apparent to NFL fans, NFL analysts that Sam Darnold may be rapidly declining and is obviously no longer the MVP candidate that many thought he was in the fall and in late December. It truly is insane how everything could change in just 1 month. Not even 1 month, but this was taken December 29th. In less than a month, Sam Darnold went from being clearly the franchise quarterback to now set to test free agency, especially after what his head coach said about him after the game.
A winning quarterback this year and the consistency at the times he had it throughout the year and what that meant for our team, because I think that can stay with him moving forward as he goes back to work. Proud of him, proud of really everybody in that locker room, but Sam and the journey him and I went on this year will always, be something that's a special place in my heart for sure.
Whoa, that was low-key bad. He's talking about Sam Darnold in the past tense. I'll always remember the journey he and I had. It'll always have a special place in my heart. That's making it sound like it's in the past. It's something that they're done with. It's over. This is a fond memory, but is not our future. He didn't talk about building in the future with Sam Darnold, and that makes sense because the Minnesota Vikings have J.J. McCarthy, who they traded up for to draft in the first round in the 2024 draft. Yeah, the guy was injured, but he's set to be the franchise quarterback. Obviously, you want your first round pick to pan out. After the game, Sam Darnold reflected on the season himself.
Jim, just how do you reflect on this season as a whole? I know it's very fresh, but just everything you've done.
Obviously it was, at the end of the day, all that matters is when you have a good season, what do you do in the playoffs? And we didn't get it done today, and that's all that matters.
He's given the right answer there. The reporter's trying to say, hey, reflect on this magical season where he was an absolute surprise candidate. 1-year deal, $10 million. Everybody expected him to be a backup to the first round pick. And then he goes out there and he's an MVP candidate. But instead of taking that glory, Sam Darnold criticizes himself. He was asked specifically about the final 2 games and if he thinks that's going to affect his future getting paid.
How much do you think these past 2 weeks will impact your future? I mean, how well you played before that?
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. That's in the past. Right now, I'm thinking about, like I said, what I could have done better today, and just really spending time with the guys in the locker room. That's really all I'm focused on right now. Is just, because at the end of the day, in the NFL, you only get one season with one team, with everyone together, and today wasn't our day. And it's as simple as that. And for me, I'm just going to be focused on spending as much time as I can with those guys in the locker room, and then I'll think about whatever the future holds after that.
This kind of sounds like he knows things are over. He's talking about spending time with the guys. He tries to say, oh, every team switches up at least a little bit every year. But really, I think he's talking about spending time with these guys because he knows he's set to test free agency after that 1-year contract expires and will likely not be part of the Minnesota Vikings future. Even though the internet is ripping into Sam Darnold, you have Vikings fans especially laying into this guy, calling him a disaster, a choke artist. You still got some analysts out there defending Sam Darnold and his performance against the LA Rams.
I would tell you, their offensive line in Minnesota got absolutely demolished by the Rams defensive line. By the way, America, Rams have the best young defensive line in football they had since October. Okay, so they got demolished. I don't think there's 5 quarterbacks in the league that were going to play good last night in Minnesota situation. I'd say the third thing, and this is probably the most surprising, I really thought, and I think the world of him, Kevin O'Connell got out-coached. That's a huge part of this as well. Kevin O'Connell got out-coached.
So you got some people defending Sam Darnold, saying it's the offensive line, which does make sense. They gave up 9 sacks, and also blaming Kevin O'Connell, the hotshot head coach. What's quite interesting is Kevin O'Connell's contract is also expiring as the head coach for the Minnesota Vikings. I expect the Vikings to extend this guy, but he's going to haggle and his agent's going to demand more money, especially given the fact that the dude's been very successful without consistent quarterback play over the past 2 years. The big question is now, what happens to Sam Darnold? Will there be a team that takes a chance on him? Will the Minnesota Vikings, despite the fact that the media and the fans are now saying there's no way they can extend this guy, will they still work out a deal with Sam Darnold? I think the guy's going to test free agency. I think he's not going to get the $200 million we all thought he would get originally, and will probably settle for something around 30 to 40 million, maybe on a short-term deal. I'd be on the lookout for Sam Darnold to the Niners if they don't agree on a contract with Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold to the Jets if they move on from Aaron Rodgers, or Sam Darnold to the Pittsburgh Steelers since Russell Wilson's deal is also expiring. All that could be crazy. We'll see what the hell happens.